All right, chat. I think it's about that time for us to hold up. Howdy there, gamers. All right, it's time. Time for another Jam Radio. It's been a while. Oh my god, that Discord noise was so loud. Well, I guess we have our first ever Jam Radio question from chat. Rick, what's it going to cost to run a tournament in space?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's a good start.
Far more money than I'm ever going to be given.
That's a good start. I like starting budget. It's I like your negotiation strategy. You know, it's like when they ask you what's it going to cost, and you're like, what do you have? So we'll just go to NASA with that and see how it goes. Is that are you comfortable with that approach strategy?
No, because I think NASA's got things to do. This is an Elon Musk kind of stupidity.
Okay, I don't know if that's gonna work out. I don't know if I have a contact there. Maybe I'll throw out a crypto tweet and then we'll see if I can bait him in and then bait and switch into a fighting game tournament in space. Yeah, the way you call him Ellen instead of Elon. I blame the Midwest in your accent. That's not your fault, all right? That just came out of nowhere. It wasn't intentional. Anyway.
Actually, I don't think I've ever said his name before, so I'm going to keep rocking with that now until somebody corrects me where I actually have to care.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to our Jam Radio. I am joined by the lovely Rick. I've had you on here before. You are a repeat guest. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And you're the first repeat guest, and it's by demand. I don't know if everybody knows this. I received a message that was like, hey, I'm leaving my job. And you know, when like I just was like, uh-oh, like, is this bad? Does he need an emotional support? Like, what's happening? And you're like, I would like to do an announcement of my new job on your show. And I was like, oh, that's sick. So you hit me up and you asked me about the show, and I thought it was a lovely idea. And then you told me where you're going, and I got mad hype. But before we get there, I think a lot of people, this happened in my chat yesterday. I was like, you guys all know Rick, and I'm not kidding. I got a comment in the chat that said, I do, but I don't know how. They were like, I just sort of know who he is, and I don't know why. And I thought that was a really lovely thing to read, because it's always nice to, you know, recover the things you've done. So I think a lot of people know you probably from a lot of different places. I think most people probably know you as the tournament organizer of Combo Breaker, but you've also worked on a million different tournaments. CEO, EVO, the Wizard World Circuit. You helped put together the Tekken World Tour that everybody loved, the year with the dojo system. You worked at Twitch and also on Twitch Rivals and all the cool Max Present shows that everybody has liked and all kinds of other stuff. Is there anything that I missed on that list that you're really happy about that people should know about?
Yeah, the Lol Tyler won Power Meet, because we got Twitch to do powerlifting as an esports show. And as a sentence, that's ridiculous. So I'm really proud of that one.
I forgot that he did the powerlifting thing. He is an animal, by the way. That dude is a beast. Like, every time I see him, I'm like, he is actually built different. Yeah, so you did the powerlifting show for that. But that was like a Twitch. Was that a Rivals thing, or is it just like a Twitch presents heavyweights?
First one was the Lol Tyler one Power Meet, powered by Twitch Rivals. Same format as the Max Present series, because, you know, extra verbose, so that you can figure out. The
Lol Tyler one powerlifting meet, powered by Twitch Rivals. That was the name.
Yeah.
Did you pick that? That name is pretty sick.
And then the second one was the Twitch Rivals Lol Tyler one Power Meet, because we spent more money on it, so the Twitch name went first.
Ah, that's sick. Okay, well, this is not the Rick TheHadou Jam Radio show. This is just Jam Radio featuring Rick TheHadou. You don't have the front billing. I see. That's how that works. If you want your name in front, you just got to pay a little extra. So yeah, you've worked on a ton of different products within the FGC that people know and love, and I think a lot of people, you know, like, hey, that's the guy that does Combo Breaker, or Funny Merch Guy, or Beard Man. Or whatever you're most famous for, the great things that you've achieved in life. But you left your job. You made a tweet yesterday that said, hey, it's my birthday, which happy belated. If you guys didn't say happy birthday to Rick, you should say happy birthday. But you also said, hey, I'm leaving my job at Twitch, and I have something new on the horizon. So what was the decision like to leave Twitch? What was going through your mind? You're like, I just hate purple. Like a seasonal thing?
No, not at all. I actually have come to really appreciate purple, mainly because everyone that I have been working with seems to do purple, particularly after working with Seglia's 10-0 crew for as many years as the both of us have. I've been happily working at Twitch for quite a while. The Twitch Rivals team is actually legitimately the best group of people I've ever worked with in a lot of ways, but we don't run a lot of fighting game shows, and we don't necessarily work with a lot of the people that I've built most of my professional relationships around. And I got a call, I can't remember how many months ago now, going, so we've got an opportunity for you. How would you feel about doing fighting game stuff full time or not? Because your options right now are FPS shows, and lots of them, and then some cool stuff sprinkled in, or fighting game stuff all the time. And that was a harder choice in 2021 than it would have been in 2010, but it's impossible for me to turn down the opportunity to work on fighting game stuff full time. So the really cool part of starting today is I get to work on fighting game stuff full time.
All right, it's confirmed. It's not John Deere tractors. We tried
It's
really
not, I mean,
hard.
Farm Simulator Esports was really close, man.
It was right on the cusp. We couldn't get to, personally, I was invested in that either way. But yeah, I mean, you had, from my understanding, a lot of really great choices, and it came down to essentially for you, you wanted to work on fighting game stuff regardless of where you went. That was like kind of the objective.
Yeah, if I was going to leave, again, if you're going to leave someplace you're happy with, it
Mhm.
has to be to go and do something you are too passionate about to not want to do all the time. And so I've got the opportunity to do it all the time in a way that speaks to the things I like to do. And since we're talking in a circle, we should probably just bring in the other special guest and say what it is.
Well, do you want to say what it is first, or should I introduce the special guest and then you can say what it is?
Why don't you introduce the special guest? Because it kind of does both at the same time.
Okay, I will introduce our very special. We were supposed to have special guests, but it's just the singular. We're not dual firing our cannons. It's just the one today, which we have the lovely Tom Cannon joining us. How's it going?
Hi. Oh, hi. It's me.
It's lovely to see you. We're gonna have two, but thankfully I have an overlay that covers both scenarios. I was ready for this, and it's very nice to have you on board and see you here on the show. So anyway, Rick, I guess you can now get into what your new position and job is going to be in life.
Yeah, so we've got Tom here so that the entire chat can say Project L over and over and over again.
Yes,
And then I can go, it's not Project L.
Oh. Roll the trailer.
Yeah, right. I'm going to be the new general manager of EVO. Because
Nice.
what I love in life is fighting game tournaments.
Woo!
And EVO's the biggest one. So see what we can do with that.
Yeah, you baited the chat so hard. They were all like, he's going to be the brand marketing beard oil salesman on Project L. Like, they were all hype and excited about that. And instead it's EVO. So you are the title is general manager at EVO now?
General manager. So yeah, shy of the people that actually give the money out. I technically am going to be the top of the ladder.
That's pretty nice.
Weird to consider.
Nice. Okay, I like that. So the first question I'm assuming on literally everybody's mind is butt combo breaker. They're already typing it. Their hands are like convulsing. They're like, what does this mean? Combo breaker, EVO, me no understand what's going on there. So is combo breaker still going to exist? Will it change? Like, what's kind of the situation with those two events?
So the nice part for me, and the part that most people who follow Combo Breaker don't seem to understand, is Combo Breaker has been my hobby project for the past 7 years. It's never been my 9 to 5. It's never been anything I could even approach part-time hours for. So having a full-time job and running Combo Breaker is just status quo. And the team at EVO supports me continuing to run Combo Breaker. So instead of one or the other, I get to put together Combo Breaker and continue developing that brand the way that I have been doing so since its inception. And I now get to work with EVO to see where we can push that towards.
Nice, I see.
I get to do both.
Yeah, I was going to say, I imagine that is a big, kind of pitch for you, because if you're looking for a new job, a new position, being able to continue to do Combo Breaker is a big one. And I would be surprised if, there was even a point where you're like, I could accept this sick job over here at John Deere and I just not do Combo Breaker anymore. Like, it's such an, I imagine, important part for your life, but also just, important thing for the FGC. It's not quite time for you to move past it yet.
Combo Breaker is important to me. That's kind of my baby. And I have fielded offers from people who tried to take Combo Breaker off the table, and I didn't take those. It's important to me that I get to keep building that, because I promised a bunch of people in the Midwest I would build that and keep that there. And if that goes away, that's a promise that I didn't keep. And I'm trying really hard in life to keep my promises.
I see. And on the topic of EVO, Combo Breaker, all that kind of stuff. So EVO itself is a big one, and it is the big one, as you pointed out. I think Combo Breaker and you know, CEO and many other fighting game tournaments have sort of developed into their own niche lately, right? Like Combo Breaker is like the festival kind of like what's, you know, I'm walking around at 3 a.m. and there's like a drunk guy vomiting in the corner, and like there's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over here, like what's happening? And then CEO is like the big wrestling affair, right? I think in my head and many people's heads, Evo's like kind of spot is it's the big event and there are like very fancy reveals and stuff, and it happens in the Mandalay Bay. So is there a desire to change what Evo is seen as, or is that kind of like what you like Evo as, or is there things you want to be different, the same, better, worse? What do you want to change about Evo?
I think it's less about what I want to change and more that I think there's been an idea of Evo. You talk about all of the other events having niches. I think
Yeah.
Evo has long been a celebration of the legacy and the history of fighting games, and also an introduction to the future of fighting games. And that's been packaged alongside literally the hardest endurance test for a competitive player that is probably imaginable in our space.
Yeah.
It is important to me that that stays true, because our community having products at different scales and experiences that are at, I shouldn't say different levels, but are targeting different outcomes is really important to us, having a healthy community for everybody who wants to be part of it. And Evo specifically has probably one of the most important roles of any brand in our space, because for a huge portion of the populace, it's the introduction. And so
Yeah.
the introduction needs to be this extremely well executed, uplifting, engaging opportunity for new players to fall in love with fighting games, and for old players to rekindle that love of fighting games, and for everyone in between those two things who are still trying to actually be the best player in the world to have an opportunity to prove that I am. So that's how I see Evo, and that's all the parts of Evo that I want to push on. Does that mean that parts of Evo probably have to change a bit conceptually? Does that things that most of Evo has to stay the same conceptually? Do I know yet? No, I started today, so there's a lot of time to kind of think about this and figure some stuff out.
You're really slacking. You join the team and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna go do this Twitch talk show thing right away. Man, how does he keep getting away with it? But yeah, you mentioned there's a lot of things that are gonna change. I saw, you know, what's funny? One of the first things I saw in the chat was, does this mean Rick is gonna like change the logos and do cool new Evo merch? And that is a great question. I didn't think about that at all, but I would love cool new Evo merch.
Tom, how would you feel about us changing the logo?
You know, the offset diamond in the logo is actually intentional.
As the tears from the steppings?
A little bit. Now maybe it's too subtle. Maybe it should have been like more intentional than what it is. But you know what? If you really want to change the logo,
If you really
it's
want
your
to
call.
break his
It's your call.
heart in
If you
half,
want to 20 years of legacy on that logo, it's up to you. I'll let you make the call.
if you want to ruin Evo, yeah, go ahead. It's not a big deal.
Does the 20-year legacy of that pixel have to continue though? That's the big question.
Yeah.
If you add it up, that's 20 pixels, man. I don't know.
That's
a pretty big
lot.
investment.
20 pixels in a fighting game. 20 pixels is a lot. That is a really big deal that you're changing those 20 pixels, Rick. God.
I mean, it's the difference between that standing fierce hitting and not. So I gotta respect those pixels.
Yeah, that's a lot of pixels, and it's going to be 21 soon. Well, I was going to say, one of the cool things I thought last year is, you know, everybody started pivoting their events in lots of different ways to accommodate the internet, right? Online events and stuff like that. And I thought it was interesting that there was a lot of like kind of smaller sort of like build up Evo tournaments that happened throughout the year, right? All the Evo online stuff with Sony. Is there kind of thoughts that you should experiment with more kind of small side stuff like that? Like Combo Breaker has Look Alive, obviously, which are these like smaller, kind of cooler, like community reflective events. Is there stuff like that for Evo that you'd be interested in doing?
Yes, and I think the coolest part of Evo's kind of getting purchased by Sony and RTS is it's an opportunity to re-explore both the event's purpose, but also what the brand's offerings are. Evo has traditionally been, here's Evo in Vegas, here's Evo Japan, here's the reveal show, here's maybe a couple of tweets in between those things. And the online stuff last year was an opportunity for the brand to go, okay, we can do something different. And regardless of whether that was what the brand needs to do moving forward or not, I think it's a really good kind of acknowledgement that it can be more than it was. And if we can figure out the right pieces compared to what it was, we're just gonna build a better sandcastle. Which doesn't take pieces, it takes sand, but I'm bad at interviews, so you know.
No, that's a great. Yeah, trust me. Most of my analogies are food, and they don't make any sense. So I perfectly understand where you're coming from. Esteban got an entire video about sandwiches and combos, so it makes a lot of sense. But I was gonna ask, you are joining EVO, which is a decision that I'm baffled by. And so I was gonna ask Tom, what's the deal with Rick here? What made him a qualified candidate in your eyes, or was the sun in your eyes? Like, what happened?
That was in my ass. No. Well, I think the partnership with Sony and RTS represented an opportunity because, like, Rick, you mentioned that a lot of people have talked to you about interest in Combo Breaker. We had lots of interest from Evo as well over the years, but it was always by groups that didn't really understand what it was for, what we were trying to do, which is really Rick said it so well. It's like evangelize and promote and grow like fighting game culture and what's unique about fighting game played competitively. So EVO and RTS get it, and they bring a lot of partnerships and a lot of resources to the table. Bringing in Rick to lead the organization and really like chart our way forward he's like the perfect human to like really amplify what we can do because he's been a part of EVO behind the scenes, helping us for many years. He knows what EVO is supposed to do and why it's special. And he has the track record of like going so hard for fighting game players. And so like with the understanding of what we're trying to do and with the resources and partnerships that we now have with Sony and RTS, it's like go forth and prosper. Like there's no one who I'd rather have like carrying EVO forward. So I'm just really looking forward to the kinds of things he's going to do. And I think you're going to see some really incredible stuff from EVO. Rick is someone who gets us and can make EVO the best version of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, how does it feel when that offer hits your desk, by the way, Rick? They're like, all right, you're looking at all these things. You're like, maybe I'll spend another year in Twitch. Maybe I won't. And then just like EVO hits your desk. Like, what was your thought immediately?
So my first thought was no. To be honest, because EVO is interesting to me in a very specific way, particularly in just the fighting game ecosystem, because I think EVO carries a responsibility.
Yeah.
I can go take a lot of jobs where I can do cool things, engage in fun experiments, kind of just try stuff, and whether it works or doesn't work, it matters to somebody's P&L sheet, but it doesn't necessarily matter to the entirety of the FGC.
Right.
What EVO does and doesn't do matters to our entire ecosystem, starting from the player who just showed up yesterday all the way up through every sponsor and vendor that has money that's supposed to go out into our communities to help prop us all up. And so when I looked at that, my immediate reaction was, that's gonna be a lot of work.
That is a lot, yeah.
But thinking back, the first large convention event I went to was EVO. So EVO is kind of, for me, the genesis of believing in what fighting game events could be, what the community culture could aspire to become. Being part of that is exciting. Accepting that responsibility isn't extremely foreign because I did it with Tekken World Tour and Tekken. And I've told Tom this previously. I can't ever earn a Canon Award because they retired it. Yes. And that was actually my only competitive gaming goal when I started realizing that, I'm not going to win tournaments, but I could do really cool stuff and gain this acknowledgement. And then it went away. And now many, many years later, the namesake is literally telling me I'm the only person on the planet he wants to have run his event. So it's like de facto getting the Canon Award.
You don't have the award. It doesn't count.
I don't.
Yeah, it doesn't count. But you could reinstate the award now that you're the GM. It's just an inside job.
The award, just like, here it is now. By the way, it's mine.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's he saw it hit his desk and he's like, I would never accept that. And then an idea sprang and he's like, wait, I can break in and take a Canon Award from the inside.
Yeah. That's the best first action for taking over EVO. Just jettison competitive integrity.
Yeah.
Claim the award, leave. Not quite what we're going for. But
just like they reverse sting, pull you up to the rafters, and you're just gone. Yeah, that'd be tight. But I was gonna ask, you brought this up sort of. Is there any kind of like I guess, sort of fear or worry that, like, you mentioned that one thing that you do a lot of is experiment, right? You always try these cool new ideas and things. I think like the dojo system is a good example for TWT. Like, I watched you explain the dojo system to people, and you could see on some people's faces, they were like, that sounds really cool. And then some professional players were like, you're going to give these yokels points for going to like a little tournament where now? So like, it's not an easy idea to first pitch to people. Is there kind of like a fear or a thought in your mind about like worrying about, I'm going to experiment with EVO, the big one? Is there like a worry about that? Or is it just kind of like, the things that you have in mind you think are just going to be awesome, and if it doesn't work, well, we'll go on to the next year?
I think there's always going to be a worry, just because there is a respect level for what's been done before me to keep conscious of. With that considered, I don't think any brand grows without experimentation and without change, because the community is going to experiment and change. The fighting game community as it exists today doesn't resemble the fighting game community that EVO's first event was hosted for.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, we can't even gather and play games. We're using
Yeah.
magic netcode that is actually also rooted in the canons. But still, I don't think you hire me if you're going to expect me to not try to experiment. Are all my experiments going to work? No. I have a laundry list of stuff at Twitch Rivals that did not work.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff that works, and you don't find that if you don't try some stuff. So one of my big hopes is in the next many, many years, we try some stuff and find cool stuff that works, so that future EVO is a better community product for the community that's going to show up 5 years from now and not look like this one.
You look like nothing. Look like the inside of our houses and rooms.
I mean, you have Christmas lights and a backdrop now, so you have evolved from nothing to closet to an entire room. The community follows that same suit. We're going to be in such a great place.
Yeah, I
We'll have
really
space to be in, colorful lights.
It's funny because the closet, I guess metaphorically, is like the Evo pit, in that people really wanted it to exist. But for visuals and health and safety hazards, it kind of had to go away. And I'm sure there will be things under your tenure at EVO that are the same way.
Yeah, except I'm going to try to bring back the pit.
Oh, well, my closet's not coming back. It's much better when people don't get to stare into my wardrobe. They're like, I see a shirt that you haven't worn before. Why haven't you worn that shirt? And I'm like, dude, can you just leave me alone? But yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, it's got to be very weird being a I always say that I think tournament organizing is like the worst job on the planet. I feel pretty confident that TOing is just the worst. It seems so incredibly brutal, and I have two people who do a ton of TOing here. So I guess over the years, over your time, and this is for both of you being TOs and in a sense being the tournament organizers of the FGC, has your like enjoyment or what you get out of that experience changed, or is it like the same kind of thing, or are you still just tired all the time? Like what is it like to just go from doing small ballroom events or whatever, where you're like, I don't know if we have electricity and that pinball machine is going to fall on somebody and it's not even part of our show, to like doing the biggest events in the year for our community?
Tom, you get that one first. I haven't done pinball machines.
Yeah, it has changed over the years. Like, I still love doing it. Would still, still do it, not as a full-time job. But like the first 10 or so years, maybe the first 15 years, actually, there was always something that we were doing that was new and untested, and it was like always on the edge of your seat. Is it going to work or not? Like, Rick talks about experimenting. Yeah, for sure. That's how we got here. And I'm glad that he's going to keep doing it. He should. But like in the early days, it was like, are we going to be able to process the line? Like, you think the line is bad in like 2020 or 2019? Like, we had no idea in the beginning. Like, it would take like 3 hours to get into the venue, and then it was like AV challenges. The first year we had that giant, you know, super wide ultra screen with like the scoreboard and all the fancy motion graphics. This was 2016, I think, or 2015, doesn't matter. BlazBlue Final started, and the thing didn't work. Like, it was not functioning. So like this was Sunday morning, and like our big centerpiece piece of production just wasn't working. So it's been like that until like the last 5 years or so. before the pandemic, and then when I moved up to sort of a more strategic role, it was really like, what are we going to do to like make this thing different and new? And some of the things like moving, I think, to uh, sort of seeding in the round that we did the first year for ESPN, like was great for that 1 year, but then it started to like feel not so great. We lost something, and so that's why we moved back to the more traditional style seeding. And I think we got a lot back, especially with like Tasty Steve jumping around the stage yelling, "Let's make some noise." Um, so like I keep doing it year after year because there's nothing like more people than you thought showing up for fighting games. And first it was just around play, but now it's around people come to watch, people come to support their families who are playing. And to see it like continue to get bigger because it's so weird and so different from everything else going on in esports, that's really gratifying.
Yeah. I'm still tired, but there is, I think there's a satisfaction in knowing that you created a experience that brought other people joy that I don't find in a lot of the other work I've done. Like, I really enjoy making apparel. There is a strong excuse that Combo Breaker exists at this point for me to experiment making cut and sew product with a brand large enough that I can kind of count on people to buy enough of it that I don't go broke. But that offers none of the satisfaction that comes at the close of an event, watching a bunch of people celebrate, being in a crowd and listening to thousands upon thousands of people make no sound whatsoever while they're waiting for something to happen in a game, in a match, to catch that one sound effect to then turn into a rabid collection of hyena noises and squeaks and your arm breaking under the weight of Tasty Steve. That can't happen working anywhere else for me. So regardless of how daunting putting on events is and how tiring events at this scale become, that's always proved worth it. And so as long as that still proves worth it, as long as we can continue doing events that create those moments, as long as we can get on social the next day and have a bunch of people talking about being back in love with fighting games or trying out this new game or finding friends and rivals and just general enthusiasm, we're going to keep doing it because that's not going to come from anywhere else. And I need that at this point. It's like breathing.
Yeah, it's especially because it hasn't happened in so long. Like, not being out there amongst people and doing stuff like this, I gotta say, it feels very strange to not be out there. And a lot of people are asking in the chat about this, and I don't know if this is even something that you guys can talk about, but do you have any plans on when you're announcing new stuff for EVO? So you are a new thing for EVO. You're this cool new shiny announcement, Rick, that we all get to enjoy. But do we know next when we're going to hear more news about when EVO's happening, what EVO's doing? You're going to be teaming up with the Barnum Bailey Circus and doing a show somewhere? Like, what's happening?
I mean, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Actually, that'd be sick. I'm going to go with early 2022, somewhere between when early 2022 starts and Bandai Namco's version of early
2022. Yes, okay.
So somewhere in that spectrum.
Somewhere before EVO happens, you will hear about EVO, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
That is.
Rick, why don't you just roll the trailer?
Just roll the trailer.
But I've still got to figure out who I asked to get the money to make the thing. So soon?
I love the look on Rick's face for a second. Like, wait, is there a trailer? Like, he was set for a second. He's like, wait, is there any? Just like the script. You know, the voice comes on and just starts doing like the noise in the beginning. You're like, uh oh, this is gonna be bad. In a world, like, there's just a new trailer right away. But I was gonna ask again. The one thing that I thought was interesting that you both brought up is that you both mentioned, like, yeah, running tournaments is really fun as my side job. Like, both of you just brought up, like, you do this tournament organization stuff, which I consider literally hell on earth, as your side jobs. How does it feel to, like, it's your job now, Rick? Like, your job is to run this tournament. This is not your, you have a side job tournament still over here with Combo Breaker, but how does it feel for it to just be your 9 to 5? You wake up and you're like, guess I'm working on EVO.
So that honestly hasn't sunk in yet. There's still a huge part of me that expects to wake up tomorrow, try to get back into the Twitch Rivals email account that actually I got kicked out of yesterday, so I can't do that anyways, and just engage all of the processes for normal work to then stop and go, all right, so who do we argue about a floor plan with now? And all of that's just the job now, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like, having the opportunity to invest so much more time than I have ever invested into what is a fighting game convention at this point.
Mm-hmm.
What is it supposed to be that it maybe isn't? What's the idyllic version of EVO? How do we get it there? And oh, damn. In theory, I've got the time to just focus on that. That's not a Twitter argument. Like, I get to go do that thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Until I find out it's going to be $1 million to give us all water, then I'm going to cry. But
yeah.
Well,
and carpet is $40,000 per square foot or whatever. You're just
we're
like,
not
oh,
doing carpet. Think of the amount of people that will just lie down after having to walk the EVO convention hall. It's too big.
Yeah. That's the next step for EVO, getting like segways or
Carpet.
like carpet. Yeah, that would be good too. But like some kind of transport system. If there could just be a train from the hotel to the Mandalay Bay itself, that would be perfect. That would just one single tram for EVO. Build
Just
a
those
train.
kiddie cabooses they have at malls sometimes for the children.
Yeah. Yeah, Keith
You
says
just got Justin Wong and his kid kind of in the front, tucked in, going, "We're going to pools."
yeah, moving and grooving. Oh man, bringing your kid to 8 a.m. pools sounds like, I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad strategy. I have no idea.
Wait a minute. I just realized
8 a.m.
I'm on the other side now. I can be the one complaining about 8 a.m. pools. Hey, Rick, how are we going to fix 8 a.m. pools?
Yeah,
We're
Rick.
not. Get ready for them.
Oh,
You know how we're going to fix 8 a.m. pools? We're going to get all of the FGC to be old enough and in committed relationships to have children, because then they'll realize that 8 a.m. is actually late in the day.
oh God. I don't
I've been
like.
up at 5 for 2 years straight. 8 a.m. pools feel like nothing now.
I'm not sure about this GM position. I gotta say, because I have the reverse. I have the 8 a.m. curse, which is that I have had 8 a.m. commentary every day of EVO for every Friday and Saturday of EVO for like 5 years or something. Which is like, I just accept it at this point. I expect to wake up at 6:50 in the morning to get ready to go. So I'm just used to it. If you push it back, I'm not gonna. It's gonna be bad for my like mojo, I think. So you have to have 8 a.m. pools.
There weren't any 8 a.m. pools in 2019, were there? Isn't that already a fixed problem?
Maybe it was 10 a.m. is like the first one.
Yeah, I think we got rid of them in 2019, but that's lost knowledge.
That was the last. Also, that was the last EVO.
It's
that was
lost knowledge. Where is Curly when I need her? She will have the answer.
2019 was literally like 7 years ago.
Curly already messaged me to say that 8 a.m. pools were gone in 2019. So, yep. Which is great.
Johnny on the spot, ready to go with the info. Yeah, I was gonna say, we've asked a lot of questions about the future and stuff like that, but it is almost that time. Do you have any resolutions, maybe EVO resolutions, life resolutions for either of you coming up? Because it is that time of the year.
My only resolution is to figure out how not to drop the ball. This is a huge responsibility. I know we called that out earlier in this interview, but I feel that way about it. There's a weight to this job, and I want to live up to that.
I just want to go to a major. Someone put on a major. Rick, put on a major. So I
I've
can
been
go
on
to
a
one.
major for 7 years. Come back.
He said, put on a major. The one I pay you for. Make it happen. Nah. Make it happen. Throw EVO tomorrow.
Sign anyone's check. I'm an advisor. I get to loft wisdom bombs, and you decide whether it's wisdom or a total stinker.
I feel like
Tom finally got the fun job.
Yeah, that's like he's got like posted up in the corner yelling stuff at you energy, you know. He's just like, yeah, do the thing, like that. Like the excited fan in the audience.
We need to get him a backyard grill and like that uncle that only talks every so often in the sandals vibe.
Yeah,
that's what Tom's gonna have at EVO. Actually, we should just put you at a grill at EVO.
And what
Ask Tom corner.
I was gonna say, you've been talking about running an event that is literally just a barbecue where people play casuals for a long time. Is it
I would
now?
love to do that. That's EVO's in Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not happening.
We have to do that somewhere else.
Okay.
Dry heat.
Yeah, dry heat.
Get used to it.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Just do it in like the winter. It's like 70. You can barbecue in that weather.
I mean, I can barbecue now, and it's 7 degrees out. I don't really care.
That's not possible. Yeah, I don't believe
it's
it.
It's 100% possible. The grill is 20 feet from.
7 degrees is made up. Never heard of it. Well, on that note, I have taken up much of your time. Do either of you have any closing thoughts or things you'd like to say to everybody out there about the new job, about life, about the universe? Anything you'd like to say?
Just let me know what you dream of EVO becoming. We might not be able to make that a reality, but it's always great to know what you want to see it be, because that can inspire what it is.
Yeah, for me, just everyone, we're 2 years into this thing. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. I think fighting games. It's a great time. Despite pandemic, it's a great time to be a fighting game player. And when we come out through the other side of this, looking forward to seeing people again.
I love that the theory that the thing blurred in your background, by the way, is Project L related.
Yeah, it's all back here.
Everybody just assumes it's the grand master plan of the entire video game. In the chat, they're like, unblur it right now. We know that is the. I'm like, guys, everybody, calm down. But yeah, I was gonna say, I also agree. I think it's you know, even with the pandemic, I think it's a lovely time to be a fighting game fan. There's a lot of cool things to play, and I think people are re-exploring both old fighting games and like what they also love about fighting games, you know, which I think is really cool. And yeah, you heard it. If you have any complaints about EVO that's ever happened of all time, TheHadou, you just hit them up. You let them know if there's ever a problem. Never even, Tom and Tony Cannon, never heard of them. Every issue you've ever had, you message Rick and complain to Rick about EVO. Say, I went to play my pools, the sun was in my eyes, you know, I had to take my cat for a walk. Like, whatever the issue is about your pools, you're in your cousin's girlfriend's dog's neighbor's veterinarian's pool and you guys are training partners. Message TheHadou and let him know there's an issue and he'll handle it.
But Steve, that is the single most unkind thing you have ever said.
I know. So I appreciate you coming on here. It's very nice of you, first of all, to even invite yourself on, and I mean that, to announce your career change here. That is very sweet of you. I'm honored to have you on here to talk about your new position. I personally am extremely excited. People don't know this, but you have been mulling over a few different positions, and I was fighting very hard for one, and I'm glad to see you chose it. So congrats on your new position. I'm really excited that you got it. And everybody in the chat, please, if you haven't already told Rick happy birthday, please tell him happy birthday and congrats on your new position that you have taken. And thanks to both of you for joining me on the show. I will let you go about your normal day, but you have a lovely one. Congrats on the new role, and I'm sure you will crush it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Have a lovely one, you too. Have a good afternoon and evening, and thanks for stopping by, chat room. Peace. That was cool, right? Was that what everybody expected? Be honest. I saw most of you in the chat room. Nobody saw that coming. Everybody said it was going to be John Deere tractors or Project L. You guys had all these like things it was going to be, but I didn't see anybody say EVO, I don't think. Yeah, I'm very happy that Rick took this position too. I got to be honest with you. I'm super, super happy. Mostly because I think everybody knows that EVO is a very important, big, fancy event. We all want it to be very dope, but being, I forgot to ask about the mini corn dogs. Don't remind them. Everybody looks at EVO and is like, EVO is the big one and it should be like this. You have this grandiose idea about it, but actually settling in and be like, I'm the one who's responsible to make this happen is a lot of responsibility. I think as Tom said, like, it is the right person for the job, you know? So I wish him the best of luck. I'm sure he'll crush it. And if he doesn't, we'll just throw tomatoes at him, right? Why carpet? So if you all don't know, things like the Mandalay Bay or like any convention center space, they charge you an absurd amount of money for carpet. One of the things that I brought up a lot last year, one of the big issues with EVO is that it's very hard to tell what the fuck is happening. There wasn't a sort of like person that was the face that everybody was like, all right, what's going on? You tell me what's happening with EVO. So I hope that they use Rick as that person, especially because he always complains he's not good on camera. I think he does perfectly fine. You'll be fine. Just go on camera and say howdy and you'll be great. That's a cool announcement. I'm really happy for him. I think a lot of people want EVO to have it kind of needs a new trustworthy person to work on this event and push it into the future. And I think this is a good person to join the team, you know? EVO on ice. I think EVO in space was a great idea. EVO on ice sounds really sick. Imagine like the big musical number that EVO on ice would have. That would be tight. I've been wanting to do more jam radio in general, and people have asked, like they've been like, hey, why don't you have the cannons on before? And I would love to steal time from either of them to chat with them. I got to be honest. But I feel bad just being like, hey, do you want to come on the show? Especially because like they can't talk about their video game. I know people are going to want me to ask them about their video game. And I also always like talking to Rick. So when Rick was like, hey, I want to come on the show, and they'll join me and they'll do the announcement. I mean, that was like really nice because, you know, it's always really nice to sit down and just chit chat and hear from everybody. I have not heard from a lot of these people in a while. I haven't seen them in a while. Life has kept us apart, right? I agree that he is the perfect person for the job. Rick has told me for like years, he's been like, dude, I've been trying to do the Evo merch and do this and do some cool Evo merch, and I always get so much pushback that I like stop designing cool Evo merch. He's always like, I would love to do some sick Evo merch, and then they're like, we would like a hoodie with the logo on it, and he's like, I want to get wild. It's hard to even imagine who else could be this person. Imagine if they were like, all right, we got our new general manager, Bailey. Like, you know, Bailey runs a tight tournament, but just imagine Evo with his face everywhere. Like, it's just right in the center of the diamond of the logo, like all the diamonds is his face. It's called Evo now. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like the way he runs everything, it's not quite the right feeling, right? Evo would be so funny.